the biggest misperception is that you have to be religious for the Department of Religion to apply to you. And that is definitely not the case. And I'm so glad that students who aren't interested in any sort of organized religion have taken these classes, because I've learned so much from them. And then within that, that the religion or the Department of Religion is a place like for your faith to be strengthened necessarily. And I know for me, like, my faith is crucial to who I am, and my faith has grown during my 4 years here, not necessarily because it was nurtured by the department, but because it was challenged and questioned. And definitely in my 4 years, my faith has been shattered and rebuilt, and while I am walking out of the department with the same convictions and beliefs that I walked in with, there's just such a depth in...
I mean, I think the one that probably many of my religion department colleagues have probably said is, we study theology, or we're studying, it's a study of religion, or not the study about religion, if I cite the kind of Supreme Court case. But I think that's one, yes. People, when they hear you study religion, they think that you are going down some kind of vocational track. But beyond that, I think sometimes when I say I study religion, maybe that's not as much a concern as it is why. What's the point? Because either religion is the problem in the world, and hence, what do you need to study? You should be telling us how to get rid of it. Or we already know what religion is. Religion is X. It is the belief in God. It is, everyone, depending on the perspective from, or the traditions that they come from, already kind of have a conception of what religion is, and they say there's nothing to understand. So my study of religion has had to challenge, and I'm not immune to it. Of course, I came to Wake Forest with certain assumptions and understandings of what constitutes religion myself. All of this got complicated, but learning about it so that I can now go back out into the world and spread this complexity about religion is really important. I find that rarely does someone who asked me that question of either why do you study religion or what's the point of studying religion, after I actually have those kinds of conversations with them over a period of time, that they rarely think it has no efficacy. I think often they realize, okay, wait a second, that I never thought about it like that. And that's really gratifying. That really makes me, and I'm sure a lot of other religion majors, feel like, yeah, we have learned a lot, and we should be proud of what we've learned, and we have so much more to learn because this stuff matters.
I think that my peers had the same misperception that I originally did, which was that religion was a very narrow field that wasn't really applicable to anything else. I get asked a lot, oh, well, which religion are you studying? And which, makes sense to ask that. But, I think that people just don't have an understanding of how many things it applies to and how important it is.
The biggest misperception by far is that when you major in religion, you're majoring in theology. And that, like, my mom still thinks that, like, I'm majoring in, like, learning how to go to church or something, or, like, learning how to pray. It is so far from that. It almost couldn't be further from that. And I don't know how you debunk that myth. You would know a tremendous amount about debunking goofy myths. But that's just sort of, people think it's like that. People think it's like some sort of kooky thing that's not really relevant. It could not be more relevant in so many different fields of inquiry that you would be intellectually concerned with. It could not be more relevant. People think it has to do with going to church or going to synagogue or learning how to pray, or learning how to be a priest. And that just couldn't be further from the truth. It is so intellectually relevant in so many different ways.
There are many. So when I tell people, like, I'm a religion major, it's like, do you study theology? Which religion do you study? Are you going to go to divinity school? Like, it's like, no, I don't want to do any of those things. They're all incorrect. And then I have to explain, like, no, we actually don't study, like, particular religions necessarily. We study, how this thing that we call religion intersects with different parts of the world, and just how different practices kind of like interact with that also. So like, of course I take classes about Islam and Judaism and Christianity, but that's not everything that I learn.
Well, the biggest misperception is that we're all going into seminary. However, I am going into seminary. So I always have to explain it to people, and well, they always ask me, what am I going to do with religion? And I said, I'm going to seminary. But I have to explain that's not everybody. So I'm in an interesting situation.
So I get two questions. The first question is, oh, so you're going to seminary, right? No. And the second question is, okay, what can you actually do with that? And my favorite reply that I've always given is that my peers and myself, we can change the world, because through the religion department, we've been given the skills and the knowledge and the courage to listen up, to stand up, to show up, and to speak up about all the issues that are facing not only our Wake Forest community, surrounding community, but also our world, and then collectively come together to actually make a difference. When you look at the agents of change on this campus, the majority of them are religion majors or minors.
But majoring in religion means that you are basically taught to think about the world through theories and methods in a certain way, and comparatively understand why those religions exist, what those religions have done to the world, how they have affected certain groups. So it's a lot more than just looking at Islam or looking at, just Christianity or Hinduism. It's looking at, for example, I took a religion and ecology class with Dr. Johnston, and it was looking at how religions have shaped a certain perception of people to look at the environment. And so it's stuff like that that makes the religion department so awesome, because you get to learn things outside of just specific traditions.
Definitely the most common question is if this is like a pre-seminary or a divinity program. So definitely an immediate assumption that it's theologically based. And I would say that's true both on and off campus, that's kind of what people jump to first. So you kind of become like an ambassador for the religion department when you're a major, to kind of dispel that assumption and talk about the kinds of conversations we're really having in class.